So traditionally in modern psychiatry or contemporary psychiatry, I would say the last, certainly 70 years of, the diagnostic manual, we've been thinking of schizophrenia as something that's chronic and long-lasting and somewhat worsening over time. Someone may kind of come to an even point later, but tends to worsen over time. And there can be brain cell tissue loss in schizophrenia as well. So really things that would support the physical body as much as possible and the physical brain as much as possible. More science has been developed about the cells that help support and keep the neurons alive. They're called microglia. So there's more news about that and more scientific study about that. So we make it to a point where it's possible to, like diabetes. So when I was in medical school years ago, we thought diabetes was type 2. You got it, you had it for the rest of your life. Now it turns out that some subset of people with type 2 diabetes, by altering their diet and exercise, can get out of that diabetic pathology, especially if their pancreas is still somewhat operational. And so it may be that there's a set of people with what we're calling schizophrenia who may be able to get out of that in the future. That's a dream. Just like with the diabetes, it may happen that way. And the reason for thinking that it's a long-term condition is that that's what has been observed over time. So we see this, don't totally understand all of the details of how schizophrenia works. And as I mentioned before, it's a diagnosis of exclusion. You look at different things in the brain and the body and the blood tests and the hormones, etc., neurologically and EEGs, if it's a seizure disorder, and say, okay, it's not this, it's not that, it's not this. What's left over, we're going to call that schizophrenia. And indeed, people have had it for a long, long time.
What is one major misconception families have about schizophrenia that you wish they could unlearn?
Families with schizophrenia have lots of thoughts and ideas about what it is. And historically, over time, our Western European and American culture have different thoughts and ideas about schizophrenia. One of the most common ideas, and it's actually surprisingly common when I'm like at a cocktail party or just some social event and talk about that a little bit, people think it's a split personality. And that multiple personality disorder, classically, has gotten renamed as, dissociative personality disorder. But the multiple personality is not schizophrenia. That's kind of a rare condition, and it's a separate thing altogether. It's a type of anxiety disorder or a psychological reaction to past traumas, you might say. So that's the most common misconception, that it's really two personalities or more within the same person. It's not. Schizophrenia is, I would say, somewhat mysterious, even for modern scientists. We describe it as a set of symptoms and conditions. So that's the biggest thing to unlearn, that it's a multiple personality. The second biggest thing, I would say, which is a really curious thing, and that it could represent something like Linda Blair in the old Exorcist movie, that there's a demon possession thing going on. This is not one of the modern theories about schizophrenia. There's neurological theories, hormonal theories, anatomical, neuroanatomical theories about schizophrenia, epilepsy type conditions, and some of the underlying theories of what's causing it. So demon possession is not really something we consider in modern psychiatry. However, the idea of using anything that helps, and so sometimes, very rarely, people have used exorcism. That's an unusual thing. But I would say that's probably a funny, kind of curious thing to say. What is it really going on here? And to recognize that it's a human condition. About 1% of people on the planet will have a lifetime risk of developing schizophrenia. So it's a human condition, really to accept it as part of the spectrum, that whole spectrum of things that happen to people.